Yes, our microphone's on, and I just turned that on too.
Okay. I make a motion to approve resolution 20-069 to return to regular session.
Second.
Mr. Rivers?
Yes.
Ms. Tranto?
Yes.
Mr. Crumble?
Yes. Next on today's agenda is our zoning report. Ms. Bonnie.
Okay. So this morning, today, February 3rd at 10 a.m., the trustees did approve the two applications, Zone-19-05 of Lewis Center Ravine Single Family Amendment and application number Zone-19-06 of Courtyards at Clear Creek Single Family Amendment. The next meeting we have under Zoning Commission is Tuesday, February 11th at 7 p.m. for application number Zone-19-03. That is the Evans Farm Single Family Amendment. Hopefully the commission will make a recommendation that evening so we can move that forward. Following that is Wednesday, February 19th at 7 p.m. I've asked the Zoning Commission to hold an organizational meeting. We'll be discussing an introduction of the 23 Overlay District and as well as discussing legal representation moving forward. Following that is Thursday, February 20th at 6 p.m. for the Board of Zoning Appeals. We do have one conditional use case. A variance may be included in that for the monument sign for the new dermatology building that's going in on Hidden Ravines Drive. And next is for Zoning Commission Tuesday, February 25th at 7 p.m. We'll have our second hearing for application number Zone-19-07 for Novaland's PC District. Again, that's where the old hot tub store was on 23. Next is Zoning Commission Tuesday, March 3rd at 7 p.m. Zoning application Zone-19-02. This is probably our fifth or sixth hearing on the Turkey Hill signage application. We have requested additional fees due to the tabling for those. And lastly, Zoning Commission Tuesday, March 31st at 7 p.m. We will be doing the final presentation of the zoning diagnostics, which is that audit that was approved, I believe, fall of last year.
Michelle, can you talk through the 19-07, the 25th? You mentioned that's, can you tell me what that is, the 6.3 acre property?
Yes, so over on 6605, 6601 Columbus Pike, it's actually 3 parcels. One of the parcels is where the old hot tub store was. There's a vacant home there.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And they're going to be combining all those parcels into one new planned commercial district. And they're proposing to do an outdoor furniture sales there. It's Amish furniture. It's supposed to be more high end. I do have pamphlets and brochures that they provided from the company if anyone has interest.
Yeah, I'd like to see that when we're done with the meeting. Yep. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Any other questions? Should I continue? Okay, next item on the agenda, I'll have Jeff Beard do the presentation for this. This is in regards to a nuisance and abatement of a building off of South Old State that we've been working on for quite some time. And the backup items were included in your packets, and I'll let Jeff go on.
The backup items, you have 2 letters, one from the Orange Township Fire Department and then one from Delaware County Building Department that are declaring this structure as a nuisance. It needs to be torn down or secured. That was conducted in November. And those pictures, there's some pictures that they provided in their letters. Also, in your backup items, the resolution that was passed April 1st of 2019 from the trustees to move forward with our process to declare it a nuisance structure. Then we had to get an administrative search warrant to access the property to get pictures. That took some time, so that's why that happened until November. I have some pictures that I took during the inspection that are on the smart board.
Have you been in any contact with her at all?
No, they have not signed any certified letters that we've sent over the past.
Does
Yeah.
someone live in the house, do you know, or is that empty also?
I believe somebody lives there. There are cars that come and go. We did speak with her father when we did the administrative search warrant, but he called after we left. He didn't answer the door when we were there.
Okay.
And didn't understand why we have to tear it down. But,
So we have to do it and then you have to lien on the home, correct?
yes.
The only thing is, I just wanna make sure that it wouldn't cause any issues, is in the code compliance letter. The inspection was done on November 6th, but then they put October 6th later in another paragraph on the front page. I believe, I'm sure that's just a typo, but, I wanna make sure something like that wouldn't cause any issues.
We can verify with the prosecutor's office on that if that's gonna be a concern.
So I don't have any more questions, I don't know, Dennis might be kinda new, if you had any.
I think we've exhausted.
Yeah, we haven't done
options.
one of these. I haven't done a building since I've been here. We've had a couple nuisance abatements since my time, but, you know, we try our best to avoid this situation. But
Right.
we've been working on this for well over a year now, and the county has now been involved and has told us that the building is not safe and it needs to be demolished.
And you just need a consensus, correct?
Yes.
Matt, and we'll have to send this letter. That was part of the backup items. We'll have to send it certified, and then we're gonna post it in the Gazette.
Yeah.
Since we have not had a response from them on the other certified letters, we're trying to cover ourselves and posting it in the Gazette also. And then that gives them 30 days to request a hearing, and then the hearing would be in front of you guys, so they can present their case if they request that. If not, then after that 30 days, you guys can decide if we move forward to demolish the structure or what we have to do to secure it. But I do have some pictures that I took this morning.
Not good.
It's been like that for a while, even Google Maps, you
Yeah,
can
the
see
Google
it
Maps shows.
falling in, and my only concern is just so many kids running around and
Where is it at?
on Old State, near Maxwell, right?
Yeah, it's close to Little Bear, just north of the Little Bear entrance, 2 houses down from Little Bear entrance.
And as far as the cost for the demolition goes, we're gonna start coordinating with Bill's office to see if his staff can help with that. If it doesn't seem to work, then we'll contract it out.
Yeah, I'd be careful with that. You know, with those guys getting hurt, there's professionals that do that.
I would agree with that too.
Sounds like we have a consensus.
Yeah.
I think you're good to move forward.
Yeah, we'll probably, if we don't hear back within the 30-day period, we'll bring this back to the trustees either end of March or early April at this point.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I know exactly where that is.
Michelle, just to be clear, the consensus is to approve sending that letter and posting it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The next item, okay, next item we have on the agenda is just the official resignation of the Board of Zoning Appeals member Victoria Jordan. And there is a resolution in the template.
I make a motion to approve resolution 20-061, accepting the resignation of Victoria Jordan from the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Second?
Mr. Rivers?
Yes.
Mr. Tranto?
Yes.
Mr. Gumbel?
Yes.
The next item that I have on the agenda is amending our zoning fee schedule, and I brought, this was something that I thought of recently with some of the sports parks that are coming in to the township. I don't have a specific fee for that, and it does require a review from us. So I coordinated with the prosecutor's office to figure out what kind of language and fee that seemed reasonable to be updated in our fee schedule. and it's cut off, and I apologize, on the very bottom. We added the recreational facility, excluding buildings, because we do have a building fee, and I had it as a flat rate of $250. I don't know if anyone has concerns with that.
Seems kind of low.
I guess the one that's coming to mind, which we all are aware, they do have buildings on the site, so those concessions, that will be an additional fee to that. And that's, those buildings would be,
Maybe at a certain point you want to have sizes, like, you know, if it's just a little ball field, that's one thing, but if it's this huge amphitheater, you know,
Right.
that might be something different. But you're right, you have buildings on there too.
I don't see this coming often, but I figured we needed to add something. But,
And there's,
Have you looked into recreational, kind of following that conversation? Have you found anything?
at least from the neighboring communities, they don't have any specifics fee
Okay.
schedule, but, you know, some communities do it by, they really do it by square footage of structures, and I just thought this is much more than just a single structure, and I think we needed to have something in place. As far as our review, I mean, we look at, for the sports park that's coming, we'll look at the site plan, the lighting, the parking, landscaping, so there is a review to that, but usually with buildings, I would say the review is a little more timely for us, because we have to look at materials. There's a little more to it, but to answer your question, it was hard for me to compare.
Okay.
and there's 2 resolutions.
I think it was accidentally duplicated, so just, it seems like it's the same thing.
Okay, that's
So
what I
just,
was,
yeah, the first one.
fine, first one.
Mhm.
And is there, there's no attachment or example, right?
This would be the agreed version, and then I'll change the date, to when the trustees approved it. So.
Do you want to consider recreational like per acre or something? Is that where you were going, Trustee Grito? As far as like,
Yeah, I
I mean, we
think
can
we're
do
fine
that.
going with this right now.
Oh, okay.
And then
Okay.
we'll figure it
we'll
out.
figure it out. Okay.
My only concern, Wes, is, you know how you have these numbered, since they put in that resolution twice by mistake, it might throw your numbers off.
Well, actually, as long as that number isn't used again, we're okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
It's just a dead
We
number.
made it really simple. And I have a question, before you vote. Could this be included as Exhibit A, so it's in with it, or Exhibit 1 or whatever?
Yes.
If the board wants to do that.
Yes.
I make the motion to approve resolution 20-062, adopting a revised zoning department fee schedule with Exhibit A.
Second?
Ms. Rivers,
Yes.
Ms. Granville,
Yes.
Mr. Trumbull,
Yes.
And then the last thing I have on the agenda is after coordinating with the prosecutor's office, well, let me take a step back. I drafted this legal representation chart a while back based on, if we were not to have in-house legal at the time, how could we use them moving forward or use them less in the way. I then shared this with the prosecutor's office, and then they made some changes based on what their office is capable of providing to us. And just an overview, Board of Zoning Appeals, I think we're not too concerned with the review on having somebody present. Now, if it's something controversial that we expect some potential litigation, we would ask somebody to sit in, but we should be able to give plenty of time to the trustees to request that. But as far as, our signage variances, our office is capable of handling that. Zoning commission is when, it becomes, if there is a concern, that would be the board with that. Now, the 2 applications that we heard today, those were just minor text amendments. I think staff can handle those. But if it's, a whole new rezoning, I would like legal to review that. The prosecutor's office is only willing to review based on specific questions, or if there's something that I find in the text that's kind of wonky, or the zoning commission members have questions, they can help with those. But there might be an application that I may need a second review on by legal, and that's what I would want to seek outside legal counsel for that. Now that does, last year we had 7 applications, and there was probably 4 that I would have liked having outside legal review. So it's not a very often occurrence, but it's something that I want. I would like consensus from the board to use moving forward, because I think when the transitions that have happened earlier this year, I think I just need clarification on that. So that's what I have here today. And if the trustees would like me to put some type of formal policy or resolution, I'm happy to pursue that. But I wanted to share this with you all as a board.
I think it's good. I appreciate you working with me on that when I first started, and then doing the legwork to get it where it is today. And also adding clarity on what your requirements are and your preferences as a department head, because I think that's important for us all to be aligned on and understand, as well as the public. So thank you for sharing that today. I don't, when we met, and I think I mentioned this to you, and I mentioned it publicly too, I wouldn't expect that the prosecutor would be the end all for all legal matters in the township, and the other townships I've spoken to, none of them is that the case. But it's more about just really revisiting our processes and understanding where we can be exactly what you just said, right? On these things, we don't need it. On this, we do. That's a level of scrutiny that provides savings to the taxpayers and to the township. So, and it's important too to continue to have a zoning commission. And talking with other townships and reading what their intent is, and just understanding that they're able to take measures where really the intent and purpose of having one, to have a voice, instead of having kind of a de facto single person that's deciding and educating. So I'm for it. I think it's great. I appreciate all your hard work.
Okay.
And the clarity around how often, in hindsight, you would have wanted this kind of thing. The one question I would have is, when you have a law firm review an application just to make sure that you're not missing anything, or all, second set of eyes, right? Where does it stop with their involvement? And does it transition into now they're at every board meeting or every commission meeting, and they're sitting with the commission guiding them? Or is it something that once you're educated, you're comfortable conveying to the commission?
Ideally, if it was an application that I would need a legal review on, I'd ask them to review the initial application and provide me comments, and then it would be up to staff to make sure all those comments were addressed in the application. And if they were not, for whatever reason, we would probably add them as conditions to the recommendation or the trustee approval.
But it's more of a fixed fee, or if there's some end in sight. This isn't a perpetual.
I don't think so.
Okay. It could in a
right.
big extreme case. I understand that.
I haven't shared this with either one of the zoning boards. I wanted to share this with you all first. And then part of the organizational meeting that we'll be having with zoning commission, this will be one of the bigger topics. And then board of zoning appeals, again, I'm not too worried about that. So I haven't gotten the zoning commission's thoughts on this yet. This might be something I come back and revisit with you at the next meeting after the organizational meeting to see if.
I have a thought too. There's a lot of attorneys out there that specialize in zoning, and I don't really want to pay a lawyer $350 an hour to do these reviews. I wonder if there's not some way that we can establish a relationship with an attorney that you find or that you think you work with well, and a preset rate. The $350 an hour thing for zoning just seems outrageous.
I don't know if that's what we have, but when we met.
Well, the Eastman Smith is $350 an hour.
And I am scheduling a meeting with Eastman and Smith just to see what they would be willing to do, and if we could do a fixed rate, or I'll talk to them about that.
And I think that was the goal, was to put out a proposal and speak with the interested parties.
Yeah,
and come
there's
up
some
with-
concerns with the RFP approach that it wasn't necessary to really discuss in executive, so I didn't. But in talking with the prosecutor's office, their advice is really just to, do that assessment independently, and I'm fine with that. And when we met, this is the exact approach we talked about. Was, I'm sure there's firms that you're familiar with, but I did encourage exactly what you said, Trustee Taranto. So I think we're aligned, the two of us, at least in that regard of giving her as a department head the ability to go out and assess the market and find a relationship and establish one that works best for her.
I think also after speaking with the zoning commission members, I'll have a better idea of what they would like, or what we can do, and meet with attorneys from there. So I think this is going to take some time, but I do want to. I wanted to share this.
It's going to take some, I guess it's going to be challenging, right? Because it's a change. There's already been a change, but as far as getting up to pace and that kind of thing, but I think it can be done. I just want to caution that what we don't want to do is try and solve one issue and recreate it in a different path, right? So we've got to be mindful of that as we talk with move forward with this approach. And I'm willing to support what comes to continue dialogue and finding a plan that works for everybody.
And fortunately, I do have some time because I don't have any new applications yet this year for zoning commission. The only thing new is the overlay district, and I talked with the county, and I believe they're going to provide the legal services for reviewing that once the text and plans are created. So I'd like to get something nailed down sooner than later. Just,
Sure.
So we can have a plan.
Because you're working with I think we talked about you're working with a firm right now that's reviewing your zoning, right? Not a law firm, but a consultancy.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
So you're obviously.
And they do have legal services there too.
Yeah, right. So I mean, so it'd be good. And I agree, $300 is a lot. Those are for specific things. And, I think Ice Miller, I think our agreement with them, for example, is 300 plus for specific types of matters. So we'll leave those to that.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten to the wrong industry.
I was always told I should have went to law school.
All right, well, I think that takes care for.
That's all I have for the zoning report.
Thank you again. Really nice job.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Maintenance report, Mr. Cowan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you can see on the agenda, I only have a few items. First is a purchase order for Dunrobin Associates LLC, amount of $6,681. This is for work they've done on East Orange Road, Phase 2, easement acquisitions. The second item is possibly amending the wintertime mailbox replacement policy. And the amendments aren't any more really than just changing from maintenance and parks director to director of operations. That's no changes in the actual
I
workings
think
of
changing
the
from
process.
a former name to your name, your email, yeah,
Yep.
makes sense.
Yep. We found that in a few other documents we went through. So, the last item in maintenance, unfortunately, we had a full-time worker resign. He'd only been employed for 2.5 weeks, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Just wasn't for him. But we'd ask that you accept his resignation. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer them.
You obviously will need backfill for that FTE that you lost. Is that correct?
I'm sorry.
With the resignation, you'll be seeking to back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We're going to need to re-advertise. And I was going to talk to Amanda about that. We did receive 7 or 8 applications. So I don't know if it'd still be good. We just started that hiring, advertising for that position was like November or December.
Sure.
So it may still be good. Maybe we don't have to re-advertise. We can just draw from that pool. We're gonna,
Do we need to consider a motion to allow that to happen with Amanda, or are you comfortable just board consensus?
Yeah, it's fine.
yeah, we could, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I think we should.
I don't have the verbiage for that, but it would.
If we don't need board consensus, or we don't need a formal resolution to do that again, since it's 3 weeks removed, you know, we'll do whatever today. I'd like to get that done if we can, so we're not waiting 2 weeks to get you set up with hiring initiative.
I don't think it would be a resolution, but we just
Yeah,
have consensus.
We have consensus.
All right, well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
You still need to accept through the resolution.
Sure.
I make the motion to approve resolution 20-057, authorize the issuance of purchase order to Dunrobin Associates LLC.
Second.
Mr. Rivers,
Yes.
Mr. Trumbull,
Yes.
Ms. Trento,
Yes.
Make the motion to approve resolution 20-058, approving the amendment of resolution 14-130 and policy regarding wintertime mailbox repair or replacement policy.
Second?
Mr. Rivers,
Yes.
Ms. Trento,
Yes.
Mr. Trumbull,
Yes.
And I make a motion to accept resolution 20-059, to accept the resignation of maintenance worker Michael Brookover.
Second?
Mr. Rivers,
Yes.
Ms. Trento,
Yes.
Mr. Trumbull,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, parks report, although there aren't any items noted on the agenda, I just have a couple of things I'd like to mention if I may.
Sure.
Thank you. For everyone's information, the swimming pool bid documents are at Attorney Bett's office. They've been there for a few weeks. He's reviewing them. I think I mentioned to you before, I'm looking at doing a 3-year contract as opposed to doing this a single year. I did ask for him to include a solid paragraph for an out clause for the township if we're not satisfied with this. Things are progressing properly, so he's going to do that. I should have them back sometime this week, so hopefully look for that item to be on the next agenda. Pond proposals, I resent those back up. You know, we are going to have to do something with the pond here and at North Orange Park. And I did resend those original recommendations up to him to review once again, and I hope to have those for you next meeting as well. Just need to think about doing that because we've got to do something. That algae issue isn't going to go away unless we address it. Field use agreements are also at Attorney Bett's office. I'm not sure when I'll get those back. I hope soon. They're already starting to schedule for league play, although we've got the schedule all drafted except for Little League Baseball at Roe Park. We still need to finish that. And I think that's all. Lewis Center bike trail. That seems to be all put together except for some minor details. That will also be forthcoming to the board for approval. We're looking for your approval to put it out for bid. I hope to have that like the next meeting or so. The initial schedule I saw was to have that trail built from Bell Canyon up to Waukegan Boulevard, to have it completed, I think, by like mid to early June of this year. So hopefully we can get that done. But otherwise, if you don't have any questions, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
With the trail, do you have a good digital or a copy or a map or something that we could publicly share?
I have hard, paper drawings, 11 half scale.
All right. I'll meet with you after this, but I'd like to start working on, from a communication standpoint, with projects like that, where we can publicly share those on the Facebook page, the township's page, and then as board members share them on our page, that kind of thing, so that we have a consistent message. So I'll meet with you after and we can talk about that.
Just real quick, if you don't mind. So in the past, this would be like my first full project. Would you have normally approved the plans and specifications, all that up front, before we do the authorization to go to bid, I assume. So I'll see if I can get the bid documents and the drawings on a electronic version.
I know the community's really interested in these types of updates, so it'd be one that we could share on our township
Yeah, let me
page.
see what I can find out about
Be
that.
wonderful.
We can have our GIS specialist make a
Perfect.
visual of that too.
All right,
That'd be
okay,
amazing.
sure.
And then Bill, do you want to share an update on the Veterans Memorial? Because I know that you had a meeting last week.
Sure, real quick, I didn't bring anything with me, but, so we met with the architects and landscape folks that are doing the layout. I mean, this looks beautiful. I think it's just a really nice concept. Trustee Taranto was there representing the board.
They're gonna present it to the board next meeting.
Yeah. She was involved when, I think, a long time ago, but anyway, I think it went really well. They're supposed to put together some numbers now to back up their drawings and conceptual views. So I look forward to seeing that. It's coming along really nice.
They talked with them on the way out. I worked with them previously, and Ms. Kraft was also part of that group, so it's nice to see that. And I thought that I would agree that the output there, the product that they came up with was pretty special. So I think it's nice to see things, all the different people that have worked on this. I think it's pretty awesome to see that there's starting to be something tangible. And then Bill, one request from me. I know that there was a public share of the images, but one thing we can ask for with Edge and Corda, and one thing I had mentioned to them when we put the quote together was a digital copy for marketing purposes. And so that Mr. Hardesty should be familiar with that. And again, that would just be a nice, crisp set of images that, regardless of who shares it in what forum, it would at least be consistent, and we could put that out. So if they have those, when they come next meeting, maybe on a CD or something, we can drop them off and have Amanda put something together online.
We'll do. I'll find out.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Looks like we just have a purchase order for a public safety report. Chief Noble's not with us here today. Mr. Mayor, did you have any information on purchase order, just for training?
I went over it. Yeah, it's just one of the firefighters went through some coursework, and the backups were pretty well noted as far as the courses taken and everything of that nature.
Do you have any? I make the motion to approve resolution 20-060 to authorize the issuance of a then and now purchase order to Alan Hager.
Second.
Mr. Rivers,
Yes.
Mr. Rumble,
Yes.
Ms. Taranto,
Yes.
All right, that takes us to the fiscal officer report.
we have another liquor permit that was submitted, and all we need is the board's consensus as to whether or not you want to have a hearing.
Yes.
No hearing?
No hearing.
Nope.
Okay, I'll make sure. Okay, that's it, thank you.
And I understand you're working on the appropriations, and I believe we had some information as far as the records request and possible change there.
Well, on the appropriations, I've received the numbers from all the department heads. I'm going to be meeting with each of them again, just to make sure we have everything that they need in there. I plan on offering each of the trustees the opportunity to sit down and go over preliminary appropriations, and I'll have our traveling fiscal officer here to answer questions of a more of a technical nature that might come up. So I'll be sending an email out to you on that, seeing if you'd like to do it. It went well last year. All three trustees met individually and had a chance to go through. And then after the input from the trustees on that, any changes that need to be made will be made. And then my goal is to have the appropriations approved in the first meeting of the month. which I think is the second.
Then there was the updated.
Yeah, I can talk through that. So I had did a little work on the records policy to solidify and update that. I know we need to get online. We need to get that updated. But additionally, just for the sake of cleaning it up a bit, bringing it into current state, the big changes here, it does continue to leverage the administrator as a records respondent, which I'm going to take on in the interim while we still look for our next administrator. But also what it does, and this is something that I shared with the team as a potential idea a few weeks ago. I worked with the IT director to look at options and create a generic records request email address. And so that's something that I've written into the policy as a proposal for the board. It's records request at Orange Township as opposed to being a single person. That way, with turnover, changes, etc., there's not a need to update the policy consistently. The other issue is that there's always been a separation between the person that responds to records and maintains them. And so for sake of maintaining a log of records requests as required by law and that kind of thing, this equips the fiscal officer to have one set of data for all inbound and outbound communication. If anyone in the township receives an email from someone that they believe is a records request, you can forward that email to this address and allow the respondent to take up the work from there. We can measure our internal performance as far as we got 340 requests from 2 people, and we responded within an average of 3 days, so we can communicate our performance from that. And ultimately, it just cleans things up and adds some integrity to that whole process. So I wanted to propose that to the board.
Will the email be checked or will it be forwarded to whoever's responding to the public records request?
It would go to this email address, and then the IT director, IT department at the county can allow whomever required to access that email box.
You don't think it can just automatically be forwarded to a particular person?
I'm sure if we wished or so desired, it could be.
I mean, that way you don't have to keep logging in and check it if it's automatically forwarded to.
Oh, no. So
You
for me, right now, I have it. So when I'm on my email, it's there.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense? So it's an addition to your inbox.
Okay, got it.
So what you're saying is spot on. Yeah, that was the goal. So it would be the administrator would have access as well as a fiscal officer, so that they can do what they're required to do by law. As far as the records keeping, they need to keep a log of in and out traffic.
No, I think it makes sense. We should have done it years ago.
I'm fine with it. We need to pass a formal resolution.
Yep, there's a resolution in there to go with it, and that takes care of the effort there when we do that.
So is this to update the public records policy and appoint records respondent?
No, it's all in the policy. So when by updating the policy, it would take care of it. The language in here reads up to modifying the policy officially and taking back everything historical.
So to modify and update our public records policy.
Correct.
This is 20-066.
Right.
Correct.
Yep, it's right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it in the, I didn't think it was in. Is it?
Yeah, it's in there.
I thought it was separate. Let me see. Make sure I get the number right.
You want to just read that there. That's it.
Tell you what, if you got it, I'll let you. Pleasure of reading it. Make the motion.
You're going to read through the whole thing, right?
No, I just have to make the motion to
Yep.
approve resolution approving a revised public records policy.
Make a motion to approve resolution 20-066, approving a revised public records policy.
Second.
Mr. Reynolds,
Yes.
Mr. Rivers,
Yes.
Ms. Trento.
Yes.
that takes us to 2 items we just need to get cleared up. The first is just a payment to the Delaware County Office of Homeland Security. And the second is updating our inventory for our insurance. Have any questions?
On the inventory, is that something that you're ready to go on? Did you get the reports from, says in here that,
Oh, it's been done in the past by the township administrator, and then he provides it to me, and it goes to our insurance carrier.
sure, so from a status standpoint,
I
timeline,
haven't received them.
okay,
So we'll need to make sure we
so
have
we
that.
need to get that done.
Okay.
I think I have the email that was sent out, so I forwarded that.
Okay, that'd be great. I make the motion to approve resolution 20-046, authorize the issuance of a purchase order, Delaware County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management.
Second?
Mr. Rivers,
Yes.
Ms. Taranto,
Yes.
Mr. Brumbles,
Yes,
Make the motion to approve resolution 20-047, accepting inventory reports as annual inventory and directing the township administrator to file copies with the township fiscal officer.
Second?
Mr. Rivers,
Yes.
Ms. Taranto,
Yes.
Mr. Brumbles,
yes,
All right, that takes us to next was the tabled receptionist position and description. Have any updates or information to share?
no, this week I'll be sitting with the, our 2 associates in the front of house there that had handled those types of duties historically. And we're gonna go through kind of workload and opportunities, things of that, just getting general feedback and kind of letting them share with me their perspective, if you will. Recognizing that Mr. Cowan had communicated previously the need for a half FTE really to get his department running efficiently. So I do think there's a need to reorganize work. What I hope to accomplish in meeting with those 2 is to come up with some detail and I guess clarity as far as who's doing what and whether we can rearrange existing staff and duties, or if we need to acquire additional capacity. And if we do, then I think, by the next board meeting, we should be ready to make a firm decision on this one way or another. But I'll present what I have prior to. I'll email that out to both of you, not for discussion of anything, but just for awareness, if that's okay with you.
so it's tabled to the next board meeting.
Yes, please. Our next item was, I believe you'd added a discussion regarding OTOC.
Oh, yeah, we just, do you have thoughts on what you want to do with that? We have quite a few people respond and interest. Feel like we're kind of leaving them hanging right now. Did you want to wait until we got an administrator hired? We're gonna flesh out the committee, more detail.
I think next meeting we should get the committee set up. I'm getting some traffic on that too, and there were some additional applicants that have come in since. I know that I caught through email coming into the administrator, so I put those aside and we'll share those at the next meeting with the board. But
Do you have all of them? Like, did he put them in a file?
I don't know as far as that. He forwarded most of them to us.
Yeah.
I have those in my own email, but as far as like new email coming in, I just haven't gone through to
There
dig.
was one, Chrissy Hagan, that had messaged me. She applied previously, hadn't heard anything, saw that they were re-advertising, so she wanted to know if she needed to resubmit.
Well, I have hers.
Okay.
He sent that to us, so I remember hers coming in because I know her from different veteran
Right.
initiatives and stuff.
Yes, yes.
So hers came in. I know Paulie Hanson was another name that came in, which would be a great
Steve
Opportunity.
Shoemaker, he was, he
Yep.
sent his, and he was great.
that was another name. And then there
Yes.
were 2 more that have come in. since. So, and I've spoken on the phone to several that have, or Facebook, they've messaged me and said, hey, what's this about? One's a business owner. Some of the new, you get supercuts that are opened up. So there's some interest.
So I think we make sure that we've rounded up all the applicants, make sure everyone has all of them, try and reach out and go through all of them. Then at the next meeting, we look at who we want to appoint. And
I would say, if I may, that the next meeting, maybe what we do is meet around the structure and then put that out as one more reach out. And then the subsequent meeting, see if we've got, some of the reason I say that is a lot of the discussion I'm having is, well, what we do and what's the committees.
How much time?
How much time? That's a big one. So I had, last year I put together, just talked to prior administrator and just different folks about it. And I have kind of a flow of committees through, as you know, both know, campaigning, you get a lot of feedback and you talk with folks and you get a good pulse on what's going on in the community. And so I have several different approaches that we might want to consider. I'll send those to you after the meeting.
I would love to see the Vets Memorial as one of them.
It is on
We
there.
need a core group for that.
It's on the Parks Committee. It delineates out different workloads. That's one of them. So I can send that to you both, and send it to all the department heads too.
sounds like a plan. For new business, in your backup was a proposal from Guide Studio. And this is kind of picking up where we left off with the branding efforts. And included in the project was the newsletter template. I sat down with Amanda, went through all this. So basically the proposal is for the spring and summer newsletter. For the spring newsletter, everything would stay the same as far as process. However, everything will be submitted to Guide. They would put this in a new template. Goes through the same printer. Differences, they're putting all of it together, reformatting it. And then they would look at the overall view of the 4 newsletters, content, reassess things. So they kind of get a walkthrough with the spring newsletter, and then we'll go more in depth with the summer newsletter.
I like it. Very much.
If I can add, Amanda texted me because she wasn't able to be here. She wasn't able to review this contract at this time, but as far as she likes the idea of doing the walkthrough with the spring newsletter and having something lined up for the summer edition. But she does have a few questions for Guy. And I don't know if she is comfortable with the contract, but that she
So
just
we
wanted
met
me to share that.
Friday. She had a couple questions. I was able to track down Representative Guide late Friday. So I got the answers to her questions and then followed up with her on Wednesday.
Okay.
I know she's out today. and
So basically, everything's going to go to Amanda, and she'll gather it all and send it to Guy.
Right. And then I was going to ask of the board if we could, right now, you don't have to turn anything in, but just as far as what you're going to write or what you like to have in the newsletter, that we're all aware of what the other ones content-wise is putting in. So that way it's not the 11th hour and we don't have any duplicate information and it all flows together and makes sense as far as what we're each tackling. I think that would be helpful.
I will say, one of the thoughts of having a digital copy of the Veterans Memorial, that's high res, and a nice digital copy would be to use in the newsletter.
Yeah.
I think that I had ran point on that for about a year, and then with the campaign pulled out, I know Trustee Taranto has now since taken over for the balance of that time since the campaign period. I'm indifferent. I'm fine with her continuing that work, but would be able to share the previous information and get, I think, a good article. The reason I bring that up is because when we transition into the next phase, fundraising is going to be critical. And I think that getting a nice high-res image out and mentioning that if you're interested in contributing, there'll be multiple ways, however we want to get into that. I would just offer that as a recommendation if you
I would
decide.
assume that there would be a whole campaign, that the communications board would be heading up, kind of like a capital campaign. I don't think that would be something that we individually say anything about.
No,
It
but
would
as far
be
as in the
an
newsletter, I
entire
think it'd be a
program.
good,
Oh, yes.
a good one to put out. So for sake of him mentioning that all of us are kind of talking about what we're gonna do, that's one that I would love to see regardless of who does it. More,
If
more
you'd like
to-
to do it, feel free.
okay. But I think that getting that message out would be, you know, with as many people people really like the newsletter. That's one thing I did hear, they read it.
They do.
And so,
And they like seeing different perspectives and different thought processes, but I agree there should be, kind of a consensus of what we're writing about.
Mr. Mayor, are you keeping track of our resolution numbers down there?
It'll be 070.
Okay, so make sure I got it right. All right, so I make the motion to approve resolution 20-070, the Guide Studio proposal for the Orange Township Spring and Summer newsletter.
Second.
Mr. Rivers,
Yes.
Ms. Tranto,
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles.
yes.
One last thing, since we're on the communication aspect, is, I think it needs to be easier for people to get to watch the meetings. I know a lot of people are, but, some people don't know you can sign up at YouTube. Like I get a text that says you're going live or you have a meeting in an hour, but is it something that we can put on the front page of the township website? So all they have to do is click it to be able to watch.
That's a great idea. Totally agree. So we can make a note for that too.
Would that be a Nancy thing? Yes.
Well, and then speaking with Amanda, that was actually part of our follow-up, and with Guy going forward with this, was looking at the communications, the newsletter, then making sure, like that as an example, that it's found on the website and people are aware that this all kind of flows together.
So should I say anything to Nancy or?
I'll take care of it
Okay.
if you'd like. I think Amanda's job title or job duties, give her responsibility for the website. And I know that that's been delegated a bit out or, you know, as far as actual tasks. So I'll send a note to both her and Nancy, if that's okay with you.
Mhm.
I think that point's well made.
Do you have any other business for today?
I do not.
One for me.
I make the motion to adjourn?
Second.
Mr. Rivers,
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles,
Yes.
Ms. Tranto.
Yes.
There are some checks to sign, if anybody has time. Can you give me a complete copy?